Hey everybody, welcome to the J&J Sports Express for the for week 13 of the NFL season 2024. I'm your co-host Jeff Cadillac. I almost got tongue-tied there for a moment with my co-host as usual, J.B. Ellis. J.B., how you doing this week?
Doing good. We got some Thursday football, Friday football, Sunday football, Monday football. We're just
Yeah,
missing three
football
days.
football coming out of your ears.
Three more
It's
days. Come on,
unbelievable.
NFL.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's like nonstop turkey and football and what could go wrong, right?
I don't know. Tomorrow's games don't excite me. So,
Yeah, well, maybe a couple will, but let's look at the first game on Thursday. We're looking at Chicago plus 10.5 at the Bears. I'm sorry, Chicago at 10 plus 10.5 at Detroit. I'm getting turkey tied already. Um,
you
who do
you
you
got your
like in this game and why, JB?
you had your turkey a day in advance, I see. Uh, the Lions are at home. The Bears, although they've been playing tough the last few weeks, on Thanksgiving having to go to Detroit to play Goff, Montgomery, Gibbs, St. Brown, Laporta, and a really good defense, a good special teams. They might as well just stay home and have their turkey and enjoy their families because that's not even going to be close. I see this a 20-point game.
Well, I tell you something. I like Detroit because Dan Campbell doesn't take his foot off the pedal. It's like constant. I loved Detroit at Indy last week. I predicted, Detroit beating Jacksonville 50-14. I was pretty close on that one, 52-6. This is a team that just is they're basically saying to everybody it's going to go through Detroit in the NFC. And they want that Super Bowl. They feel they don't have any hangovers from last season. They are focused. They are driven. If this team doesn't beat you with defense, they beat you with the running backs. They can't. If you think you can stop them with Gibbs and Montgomery, Goff looks for everybody else, and he dumps the ball all over. This team really doesn't have any weaknesses, to say the least. I mean, maybe in their secondary. Chicago is in a rebuilding mode, whatever you want to call it. They've been losing some tough games. They lose games they should have won. Honestly, they're in a losing streak right now. They can't seem to find themselves. And, I like Detroit at home here. I don't think there's any let up in this game. I think Detroit wins definitely by 20, like you said. And if they don't win by 20, it's a disappointment. The Bears, the offensive line, once there you see him, there you don't. Caleb Williams is trying to do it all himself there. He's learning. He's getting the ball, quicker out of his hands. But this team still has some deficiencies and also on defense as well. So I definitely have to agree with you on this one. I like the Lions at least, by 20. Definitely Cuffler in the spread by 14. But I don't see a real big contest here.
Well, let's wait till Thursday night in the frozen tundra up in Green Bay. The Miami Dolphins, who are nice and warm down in Miami, are flying to where I believe it's supposed to be 15 degrees, if I'm correct about the weather. It's going to be pretty cold. Tua has been, since he's come back, leading the team. Um, you know, co-host Sideline Sports, John Shear, is a huge Dolphins fan, and he likes to talk about his team. And he happens to be right. Tua, since he's come back, has made the offense back to what it was. They have a couple of nice running backs with Mostert and
Kane.
uh, the receivers. Obviously, you got Hill, you got
Waddle.
Waddle, and then you got Smith at tight end. So their offense is actually pretty good. The defense is playing okay. They're not great. They're actually, to me, worse than they were last year, from what I'm seeing. But all that doesn't matter. They don't win cold weather games. Packers are a good team. Jordan Love's a good quarterback. They're at home. The weather is going to be ice cold. They're used to the cold. They just go out there and win. They got Josh Jacobs to carry the load, running the ball. They got some really good receivers in Dobbs and Reed. Their defense is, just as decent as Miami. No world-beating defenses, neither of these two teams, but they do enough to keep their teams in the game. So I think this one comes down to the cold weather. And, because of that, I'm going to take the Packers all day.
Well, I have to disagree with you on this one because I know Miami is a warm weather team. This is a must win for Miami. They're in desperate hopes here. They've had a nice little run going. They're 5-6. They lose this game, they're 5-7. They could start, counting the days till the season is over, honestly. You get to 6-6, now you're talking. Maybe you end up 11-6. This is a must win for them. They have to beat the Packers. They have to find a way. Jordan Love, he's due for a bad game. He hasn't had a bad game in a while. He's due. Put the pressure on him. Let him throw off his back foot. He will make mistakes. He gets a little cocky out there. And I'll tell you this, Miami is defense you were talking about. They're so-so. They've actually been playing a little bit better. And I like the way they have to mix it up. Yes, Watson and, Green Bay's got some wide receivers. And, they have Josh Jacobs behind there. But they have to play in the cold, too. And Miami, they know they have to win this game. This is a must-win game for Miami Thursday night in the cold, in the tundra, in Green Bay. And that's it. That's how I look at it. It's desperation. Plus 3.5, I like Miami.
Oh, fair. So we disagree on this one. Let's go to Sunday. Chargers coming off a loss to the Ravens versus the Falcons. What do you like in this game?
Well, I one of the reasons why I looked at this game is because, first of all, the teams, they're both fakers. I'll be honest with you. Falcons are fakers. Chargers are fakers. Chargers are not there yet. A couple of weeks ago, they should have lost against Cincy. They had a 27-6 lead against Joe Burrow and company, and then they just went to sleep. It's 27 up, and Cincy misses 2 field goals, which would have definitely won the game for the Chargers. Chargers needed like a last miraculous drive for a touchdown to win the game when they had it at hands, which shows that they go to sleep. They're not for real. The Falcons also, they're not a real team. They get some nice wins. Then they lose a crazy game to the Saints, and it looked like they just didn't show up. You shouldn't be losing that kind of games. They're coming off the bye, the Falcons. The Chargers are battling in the AFC West. They've got Denver and Kansas City who they're battling. The Chargers need this win. They were embarrassed by Baltimore. They were down 30-16 in their home. They actually were leading that game for a little bit, but Baltimore came back. And the Chargers are in a desperate mode. They're fighting against Denver. They're fighting against Kansas City. This is a bounce back must win for the Chargers. The Falcons, listen, I don't believe them. They lose easy games. Cousins, you put pressure on him. He makes mistakes. He's a turnover. I never believed in him in his whole career. Just, he's the kind of guy that keeps the team competitive, but he's not going to get you to the Super Bowl. I like the Chargers minus 1.5 on the road.
So, that's a great thing. What's going on, Jeremy? Glad to see you here. I look at this game. This is, a really good game on paper. These two teams are pretty even. They're not in the top class of the NFL. It's not like Kansas City Buffalo where it's a top flight game, or Kansas City Baltimore. But this is kind of like the two teams on their way up. These two teams could be good in a couple of years. The Chargers have a really good coach. They're on their way, and the Falcons are getting better, and they have a lot of young talent. But neither team is there yet, and they're working towards that. So it's kind of, to me, a very evenly matched game. I thought the Chargers got out muscled last week. Baltimore kind of imposed its will at every third and fourth down. They were the more physical team, and they took it to them. Dobbins got hurt, which is going to be an interesting thing for the Chargers because now they're going to have to go with Gus Edwards, who has a different running style. He's a good back, but he's not Dobbins. He's not a hard nose up the middle back like Dobbins is. So changes the run game a little bit. Chargers coming all the way to the East Coast. I still like them. I think that they're better coached. I think, Harbaugh is giving them hell all week, getting them ready. I don't see that in Atlanta. I don't see the coaching. I don't see the team getting better. I don't see the improvement that I'm looking to see in that team. That team to me should have ran away with this division with the offensive talent that they have. And they're just not doing it. Like you said, they had a bad game last week. I don't know. They leave something to be expected. The Chargers, again, still aren't there. I don't think that they're world beaters, but I think that they have a great shot at getting one of the wild card spots, so the 6 or 7 spot. They're not going to make any noise in the playoffs, but if they're learning how to win. Same thing like what we were talking about the Bears earlier. They're losing all these close games this year. Next year, when they have the same situation, they'll probably win some of them because they know what to do with those situations. Teams have to learn. You have to go through the losing and getting better. Look, same thing happened with Detroit a couple of years ago. They were 8-8, where they won like 6 or 7 of the last games. Then the next year they got to the playoffs. It's just you build and you get better, and that's what good coaches do. But I definitely like the Chargers here. I don't think the Falcons are in the same trajectory at the moment. Next, we got the Eagles versus the Ravens. I'll start with this one. So, Eagles, impressive win last week over the Rams. Barkley. About time it was his week. Some weeks it's Hurts, some weeks it's Barkley. If you bet props, don't bet the Eagles because you don't know who's going to score. They do a great job distributing the ball. They, find ways to show that they're better than what they are. Against the Ravens, who we just talked about over the Chargers, where they impose their will. This is an interesting game because these two teams both have high expectations. Both think they could be in the Super Bowl. And they're both not the best team in the conference. The Ravens obviously have to deal with Kansas City. The Eagles have to deal with Detroit. I do like the Eagles a little bit more here. I think Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, that combination together, gives their offense more of a dynamic than Henry and Lamar. They're both great options, 1A, 1B, but put on paper and seeing it, I kind of like the way that the offense flows in Philadelphia a lot more than I do in Baltimore. Defensively, Baltimore can't stop the pass for anything. And Hurts has a couple of good receivers. On the other side of the ball, the Eagles' defense is better than the Ravens overall. Not the best defense in the NFL, but they play solid. So I'm going to go with the Eagles here, and it's in a close game that'll be fun to watch.
Why this game isn't in prime time, I don't know. This would have been a great, game in prime time, and I think they really dropped the ball on this one. But I love Philly in this game. I love the way Philly, a lot of people liked the Rams last week. No, I liked Philly. I think you may have even liked the Rams. But I liked Philly because the run game, especially, it lets Hurts, pick and choose where he wants to drop the ball. And the defense for the Eagles is underrated as well. They've been really stepping up. You got the number 1 running offense with the Eagles and the number 2 running offense for the Ravens. And as you mentioned, the big difference with the both teams is the Ravens secondary is terrible. They're terrible against the pass. They're good against the run, and both teams are very good against the run. Problem is the Ravens are terrible against the pass. And I can bet that Jalen Hurts is watching film on them right now. And he's watching and seeing who's vulnerable, who isn't, who picks up on the fake, on the pump, and who makes the moves, who's susceptible to a pass interference. And I'm just saying that I like Philly in this game because they have they've already figured it out now. They're in such a groove right now in all their games that, they played around against Jacksonville a little. They tried some things. Stick to the basics. Saquon Barkley, I heard he just ran for another 70 yards against the Rams. That game was unbelievable. I mean, it was out of control how much this guy, how the Giants have plenty of problems. And that's why I could see how they let him go. It's not just about the quarterback. It's the whole team. It's the whole coaching staff. It's a big problem, and you're going to see a lot of changes with them. But to get Saquon Barkley and have those fresh legs that he does, because he really didn't play a lot of quality games or hard games with the Giants because they were always down so much. I like the Eagles here. I think they find a way to, stop Lamar Jackson and company and Derrick Henry. I don't, they're going to have a spotter. They're smart enough to do it. I like the Eagles winning this game outright.
Wow. Interesting. We both agree on that one. So, real quick before we get to the final game, because I'm just looking something up. Any bonus coverage you have? Let's talk about the Cowboys and Giants. That
Oh,
seems like the stupidest game. I mean, it's bad enough we got to watch Bears, Lions. Now, I get Caleb's the first pick, and that's why they did it. That's really why it's Bears versus Lions this year, because you want everyone to see the number one pick. But the Giants versus the Cowboys. Why is the NFL doing that to us, giving us two bad games?
well, the Dallas Cowboys and Detroit always have the home game on
That I know, yes.
But Dallas, bonus game here. I like Dallas. First of all, Tommy DeVito looks like he's going to be out for this game against Dallas. You got Drew Lock in there. Maybe he's, showing himself off for another team. You certainly don't want to be with the Giants after they draft a new quarterback in the offseason. I mean, if they don't draft a quarterback or find somebody that can lead the team, and take a step back for a second. The problem with the Giants, and they haven't, corrected it since Eli Manning was the quarterback, is the offensive line. They have one of the worst offensive lines in football. And this is something I could see why Saquon Barkley said, I'm out of here. I don't need to be tackled in the backfield, 10 times a game. It's ridiculous. I got no coverage. I can't find a lane. He's going to get hurt back there. So the offensive line is so important in football, and so many general managers overlook it. They think by just putting a great quarterback and a couple of wide receivers out there, they're going to win. I like Dallas in this game. I like Cooper Rush as the quarterback. I think Dallas at home on Thanksgiving. The Giants are even worse than Dallas, if you can believe it. It's like it's terrible. And the Dallas could actually end up with a winning record, but I don't see that happening because they have some, tough games down the road. I like Dallas in this game. I think the point spread is like 2.5 or something like that. With
The only thing that
Dallas.
scares me, having watched enough Giants over the last decade, this is a game they end up winning because it messes up their draft stock. Because pros, when you're playing on the defensive line or the secondary, you don't care about the draft, getting the first pick. It doesn't help your contract. You care about winning and doing the best you can. The coaches, maybe in the back of their head, they want to lose to get the draft pick, but even they want to win because they want to keep their job. Unless, it's something that the owner talked about. So this is the type of game the Giants end up going out and winning year after year that they should lose so they get the better draft pick, and then they end up 7 through 10 as usual. But, on paper, the Giants are a joke. They're a mess. Tracy's a nice little running back. Neighbors, good wide receiver. Robinson's a good wide receiver. They have some weapons. Drew Lock will probably play because DeVito didn't travel to Dallas with the team. So we'll see what Drew Lock can do. Maybe next week we could find somebody else to play quarterback. We could just have rotational quarterbacks every week.
Yeah, maybe they could put an ad in the want ads.
It's pretty sad. This is an NFL franchise, and they're looking like the Oakland A's right now. That's how
They're
pathetic
looking like
the
a
Giants are
semi-pro
gonna be.
team right now.
Yeah, it's just sad. But, that's the only thing that scares me. I mean, on paper, Dallas should cover easily. But, the Giants do stupid things at stupid times and show up. But let's get to the Sunday night
football
game.
Now, I'll start. This game started out. I actually did this game like really early in the week, and the spread was only like 3. So I love the Bills laying 3. I love the Bills 7. Listen, San Francisco has a hangover, and it's big. And also, Kyle Shanahan is a terrible coach. He can't win the big games. He makes suspect play calling. Brock Purdy, is he going to be in? Right now he's still questionable for this game. The Bills are coming off a nice off week. They're just, they beat Kansas City before that. They're really playing well. They're on a mission. everybody saying, oh, Kansas City's done and this and that. Well, wait till the playoffs, my friend, before you say that the king is dead. Because as long as number 15 is wearing, as long as Pat Mahomes is wearing a red cape and 15, they're still the team to beat. Josh Allen, he's been making a lot better plays, a lot of better decisions this season. He's cut down on his interceptions. They should steamroll the 49ers. 49ers are depleted all around the team with injuries, but they also got attitude problems. They're not playing cohesively, which I notice a lot. They're getting pissed at little things, and guys aren't coming up big. Deebo Samuel's not playing the way he was playing when he was playing for that contract. He figures, some of these guys, and I'm not saying just him, but a lot of guys, once they get that money, they kind of ease up a little bit on the, attention span when it comes to playing football. I like Buffalo in this game. I think they win by at least 10 points. 49ers give it a good ride for about 3 quarters and falter in the fourth quarter. And that's when the Bills, find a way to score more points. They win by 10 on Sunday night.
So there's going to be snow in Buffalo, lake effect snow. I believe at least 6 inches, if not possibly more. Brock Purdy was limited in practice today. Didn't throw the ball much. Questionable, probably not going to play. He doesn't play. Give me the Bills minus 17. I don't care. That the Bills are on a mission right now. He plays. All right, 7. I'm still taking the Bills, but I'm not going any higher than 7. We'll see where the line goes. I don't think the weather's that big of a deal with the 49ers as opposed to the earlier game we spoke about with Miami. San Francisco's not a warm weather team. They're not a cold weather team either, but they've faced, they're not. San Francisco can get pretty chilly. The snow, both teams got to deal with it. Even though the Bills are in Buffalo, they don't play in the snow very often. I think the snow doesn't benefit or hurt either team here. You are right. San Francisco's got injury issues all throughout the offense and defense. Their team is not acting very team-like. Deebo went after the holder and kicker last week. You got all sorts of issues all over. Josh Allen wants to get the number 1 seed. The only way they could do this is to keep winning. Kansas City's going to slip up and lose another game. It's bound to happen. They're not going 16-1. So if the Bills, who beat them already, have 2 losses, their only hope is to run the table. Because they get that 3rd loss, that they're in trouble not catching them. And they caught the 49ers at a good time. Purdy not being 100%. That team just looks bad. It happens sometimes with teams. You run the same guys back after you get to the Super Bowl, take a tough loss in the championship. You run the same team back, you expect that it's going to be the same way, but injuries happen. People are a year older. Just nothing is the same sometimes. And no matter how hard you try, you can't recreate what you did the year before. It's just the way it is. It's just not their year. Looking at them, they look flat-footed, a step slower. I think the Bills caught them at the perfect time.
Yeah, I happen to agree with you. San Francisco is in danger of not even making the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they're lucky that their division is just, not good. They're, I think, a game out with as bad as they played. So they could make the playoffs, and they're a team with weapons. If they figure it out, they could be dangerous, but they have a lot of work to do before we can say that. Yeah. Right now, they're just struggling. So where can people find you?
You can find me at jeffcadillac.com. You can find me on Twitter at jeffcadillac1. Best Bet on Fridays will be coming up this Friday. You can find me always here with you on J&J Sports Express, our every Wednesday night throughout the season. And you can always email me at jcadillac01@gmail.com.
So JB _ the program on X. Jeff went with the Lions the last 2 weeks. I'm breaking where you can find me for a second. 2-0 with that. Running back the same team. Will he do it a 3rd week? Well, it won't be Friday, so. But if he thinks it's a best bet now, he can definitely say it, and we'll represent it. But I don't know. That's up to him. I don't want to put any pressure on him because he's been doing good so far, as usual. But JB underscore the program on X, Sideline Sports every Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern. Here, WDJY 99.1 in Atlanta on Wednesday. You can listen online if you're not in Atlanta. But everyone have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. We will see you next week. Remember, there's football Thursday, Friday, rivalry week football, college on Saturday, more NFL on Sunday and Monday. Tuesday, we're going to take the day off from football, guys. So just everyone get to Tuesday. We can all take a nice break. Jeff?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm here.
You froze. You got anything to say before we go?
Everybody have a good Thanksgiving, good safe Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next week.
Later, guys.